In this lesson, you will learn how to use if, else, and when to control what your app does based on conditions. Let's start with if for making decision. So the if statement checks a condition, and if it is true, it runs some code. Let's see how it works. So I want to check someone's age. If the person is older citizen, I'll give the person discount. How do you do it? You create a variable to hold the person's age. Let's say the person is 65. Then you write if, and then you open and close bracket. So inside the bracket, you check the condition. So this is where you apply comparison operators. So we want to check if the age is greater or equal to 60. This is comparison operators. After the condition, run the code inside the curly bracket. So let me take it again. To write if statement to check a condition and then write a piece of code. You use if. After the if, you open and close a bracket. Inside the bracket, you check your condition. You use comparison operator. After the condition, you specify what should happen inside this code. So I can just print the message, you qualify for a senior citizen discount. When we run it, you see you are qualified for a senior citizen. So this is what is happening. It is checking this condition. Is the age greater than 65 or equal to 65? So if I make it 70, you realize that 65 is never greater than 70. So when you run it, the code will not run. Yep, no result because this condition is false. So this part of the code will only run when this condition is true. Let me bring this back to 55. So when we run it, you realize 65 is greater than 55. So the message has been printed. I can try another one. I'm creating a variable called is student. So now I'm checking if you are a student. So this one I'll just pass is student and I'll print the message. So all what is required inside this bracket is a boolean, true or false. So whatever operation you perform inside this bracket must evaluate or must end up being a boolean. So either you perform calculation that will give you true or false, or you pass true directly or false directly. So you can see that this variable, I just assigned false to this variable and I use it here and to give me, so it is false. So the response for that one will not come. If I change it to true, you see the message, you are not a student. Since it's a student, I'll just say you are a student. If I run it, you are a student. So at the end, here has to be true or false. Whatever calculation you do in must end up being true or false. So when I run this, you see you are a student. So if I put all this, I turn it to true and I run, you see that we are getting the message, you are a student, you've got the senior citizen discount. All right, so you realize when this part was false, we didn't get any message, but we can have a situation where if it is true, something should happen, and if it is false, we want something else to happen. So how do we take care of such a situation? If the age is greater or equal to 60, then I'll bring my curly braces. I'll print the message. If the person is not qualified, we won't print a different message. So that one, you say else. So I'll copy this and paste here. That says sorry, don't qualify. So if it is true, it will run this part. So let's test it. What do we see? You are qualified for this discount because the age is what? 65 and our benchmark is 60. So if I should change this benchmark to 80 when we run it, it's less than 80. So we have sorry, you don't qualify. So this one is like checking two conditions. What if you want to check more than two conditions? That's where you use the if else. So I'll create a new variable. So for this person's age, we are going to check if it's greater than the 60. So if that condition is true, we want to print a message. But if it's false, then we'll bring our else. So we want to check again if it meets a different condition. So you will bring your else. In front of the else, you start the if. Now the new condition, you can say person age, is it less than 18? Since you are not 60 and over, we are checking whether you are less than 18. If you are less than 18, you get a student discount. So otherwise, for this if condition, otherwise we will say what else. So you start from here. You first of all check your condition. If it's true, you run senior discount. If it's not true, I want to check something else. So I'll check whether it is less than 18. If you are less than 18, then you are probably a student. So I'll give you a student discount. If you are not a senior citizen, you are not also a student, then I'll apply the regular price to you. You can stack multiple conditions like this. The first one that's true gets executed. So if it happens that you are checking so many values, you use the next check, which is when. At least from 3 going, I would advise that you use the when check. So for the when, it's quite simple. Let's say we want to check what day of the day it is, and then we print a message. So we have a variable called day, and we are assign Saturday. It follows like this. When, and you open and close brackets. Inside the bracket, you pass the value you want to compare against, so which is the day. Then you follow by curly bracket. Now inside the bracket, so first you want to check if it is Monday. So if the day is Monday, then you put what you want to do in the curly bracket. So I can print work day. This is the first condition. So for the second condition, I can say if it is Saturday and Sunday, I want to print. Then finally we have the else block. If none of this one matches, you should have a backup plan for default. This is the value you want to check if it meets any of these conditions. So let's run it, and you see the message weekend vibe. So the day can be found on this condition, so it printed the message. So if you have yourself finding so many conditions and you have to stack this and write a lot of else if, then it will be better to convert it into when statement. You can also use when as an expression. So we have variable called score and results. Then you bring your when. So when the score is in 90 and 0, then you want to print something like A, and you want to check if the score is in from 80 89, I want to print B. So finally I can say anything else should be try again. So this one, what happens is that when the score is checked within this range, so this is a range. This is how you create range in Kotlin. You specify the lower and then the upper limit and use 2 dots between them. When the score is within 90 and 100, assign the test A to this result variable. If it's between 80 and this, add it to this variable. Otherwise, try again. So if it matches any of these keys, these messages will be assigned to the result. Now I can print the result. So let's run and see what's there. I think try again. Yeah, so we have try again. But if this one should be 86, then it's between here. So we'll see B sharp. So we see B. For the when, we can have it as an expression. Expression means whatever operation you are doing here will end up being a value. So you perform all this operation and it will return either this value, and this value will be assigned to this variable. So this is an expression. Whatever you do will end up being a value. And then this is when statement. So this one also checks, and when it checks the condition against any of these blocks, anyone that matches them, the message will be printed. But this one performs and then assign. So this one is not printing the message directly, it will assign the message to a variable, then we can use the variable later. All right, so now is our mini practice time. In this mini practice, we are doing a discount checker. So you run a small shop and you want to give discounts based on age. For those who are 60 and above, you print the message senior discount, which is 30%. For those within 13 and 19, you give them teen discount, which is 10%. Everyone else print no discount available. Write a Kotlin code using when block to check the value of age and print the right message. I'm giving you 30 seconds to finish. Alright, so let's solve it together. You run a small shop and you give people discount. The first category is those who are 60 and above. You give them this percentage of discount, and then we have the teens and everybody else. We're supposed to use the when and then print messages. So I'll create a variable for my age and set it to 68, starting with. So now I'll use my when block. So now we start with the first condition, which is this. So to check that condition, for this case, you don't need bracket, so you can remove the bracket. When the age is greater or equal to 60, so for that we print the message senior citizen discount. All right, so I'll just repeat this 3 times. So the next condition is from 13 to 19. So this is a range. So for a range, you say for the age in from 13 to 19, you print the message teen discount. And everybody else, so everybody else, you bring else, then we say no discounts available. All right, so when we run it, so senior citizen, because the age is greater than 60, so if we reduce the age to, let's say, 15 and run it, we get teen discount. So far you've learned how to make decision using if and when. In the next episode we'll talk about loops, how to repeat things in Kotlin. Subscribe if you are learning something new.